Welcome back to the Racing Insiders, the only sports car-related show in broadcasting anywhere in the United States. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Peter Keane is in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and Jim Daniels is in Memphis, Tennessee. Peter, what's going on down there in Florida?
Just a relaxing weekend, watching some great racing from Toronto, and getting ready to go to the SCCA CRB face-to-face next weekend in Kansas.
How about you, Jim? What's happening in Memphis?
Same thing, lots of racing. Got to interview Billy Johnson from New Hampshire, a road racing standout. They got the call up by Rouse to run an oval. Let's get with it, Bill.
It was a great racing weekend. Not a lot of races, but some good racing that's happening. From the Pirelli World Challenge in Toronto, part of the IndyCar weekend there. We had a doubleheader weekend for touring cars and a big race for the GT cars. We've got United Sports Car Racing. They're finally coming out with some new rules that we could chew on, and believe me, we chewed on them. We've got Billy Johnson. We talked with him. He's part of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, but he did get a big shot in an oval race for the Rouse Racing this past weekend. Got the Global RallyCross in New Hampshire, played in front of a huge crowd in Loudon. We'll take a look at that. Great racing, though. It was fabulous racing. And are you kidding me? What's going on in our heads? We're bumping all over the world from Europe to Toronto. Let's get right with it. Pirelli World Challenge in Toronto. Johnny O'Connell took advantage of a little Racing Insiders mojo. He appears on the show and goes out and knocks him dead in the GT round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championship. We talked to him right after the race.
Cadillac Racing executes. No mistakes. And, he didn't make any mistakes in qualifying, practice, and certainly in the race today. I don't think Andy, made any mistakes. I feel, I drove a relatively mistake-free race, so that's how we get our results.
Now from the Racing Insider show for you, Johnny, does Figgy's notoriously have problems, it seems, on street courses? Does that play into your strategy?
Not at all. Alex is a very fast driver. Luck plays into it. Alex really, he needs to go buy a rabbit's foot or something, because he probably could have won both races at St. Pete. At Long Beach, that race was his. We had nothing for him, and he explodes a rotor. Since then he's been through. Not that he's not driving great. He's driving great. He just had some bad luck. So, if all drivers have years like that. So, I literally, when Figgy got the lead, I was like, I'm going to need traffic, because otherwise, passing here is going to be difficult.
It did seem like O'Connell had control of the field, and this is kind of a continuation of his championship run from last year, and he's, except for some problems at Long Beach and maybe one other round, he'd be dominating the points again this year. Don't you think, Jim?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Figgy keeps throwing them away. Not to take anything away from Johnny, but he was on this show. You can watch his interview on our YouTube channel, and he said it. Look, I don't have the fastest car, but this Cadillac doesn't break down, although he did have the trouble at Coda from jumping those curves. That's an anomaly. But he's inheriting some of these leads. What I found interesting is when he gets in clean air and on the point, no one can get around him. They can get to him occasionally, but no one can get around him. That's been his MO the whole time that I've watched him throughout all of his racing years. Then you got to look at Lawson Oschenbach in the GTS class. Same thing. He almost would win every race if he was in the front. With the exception of some restarts where he got snookered, he's dominated from the front in clean air. What's your take on it, Peter?
No, I completely agree with you. To me, I think the Cadillac's got to they can win when they want to. So, you're right, Figgy keeps giving it away, and Pope's in a backup car, just never pressured. The only wild card there is Skeen. I know he's driving his rear end off, and, he can make runs at him, but I just don't think he's in the same equipment as the Cadillacs. And I also got to agree with you with Oschenbach. He's just the class of the field, The Kias show some huge straight line speed, but then, Nick Janssen broke, and that was the end of that. But, other than, I agree with you. If Oschenbach's in the front in that GTS class, then nobody's going to get around him unless a Kia gets a big run down a straightaway. So
let me throw a little something out here for either one of you. Sorry to jump in here, but the all-wheel drive on the Volvo and the weight on the Volvo, these guys on a bad track, a slick track, they do well. But do you think ultimately they're going to have to deal with this weight issue? They're not as quick as practically anybody else in the field.
Well, the computer, the balance of performance computer that they run through shows the car because of the starts and because of how critical track position is. You got to look at the times and how they fall off through a run. They're not falling off that much that they can't defend if the track's tight enough like this weekend. This week at Toronto and that race at Long Beach has got to be stuck in Figgy's Crawl because that's the kind of tracks where track position is so critical. You could defend, do some brake checking up here and there to make sure the straightaways favor you a little bit. And they didn't get it done for whatever reason. I think some water came on the track from a GTS car late in the run from Davis's GTS Mustang, and Figgy got caught out, either not watching the flags, not having a spotter, who knows. But it was a shame. Peter?
Well, I got to tell you, the one thing I'll add is, those Volvos, I think maybe with the weight or how strung out those motors are, but man, you pull the pin, as soon as they leave the green, when the green light comes on, they've pulled the pin and the clock starts ticking until they start coming apart. I mean, they're beautiful cars and they're fast, but, it's tick-tock till something happens to them too. So that's kind of the sad part of it.
That's why they call us the Racing Insiders. We'll continue more with some inside information on the United Sports Car Racing rules. They finally started rolling them out. We understand more are coming. You won't believe what's going on for the drivers. I don't think the drivers are going to like this too much. More the Racing Insiders when you get back.
Let us know what you think about what the Racing Insiders have to say. Tell us on Facebook and Twitter. Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. We've got Peter Keane in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and Jim Daniels in Memphis, Tennessee. This is going to be an incredible segment. Some new rules are finally rolling out from Grand Am. We've been waiting most of the year since the announcement of the merger to find out what's going on. It has to do with something very new, driver ratings, 4 categories, platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. It's a very convoluted message that has to do with age, driver experience, nothing to do with something quantifiable like points that they've earned in championships. Jim, we'll go to you first. What do you think about all this? Do you think this is a good thing? Are they going in the right direction?
Well, I think it's got some good and bad parts in it. I'll tell you, the most daunting part of this was trying to read it. Talk about peeling an onion. Not only is it layers upon layers, but you cry when you get to the end of it. So here's the problem I got with it. There's 2 sides of it, but you're going to have Camping World truck drivers. They literally could be coming out of Legends cars and into trucks. They're going to be classified as a platinum driver with the top DTM drivers, road racers of the world. And then you got guys similar to me, great drivers who just chose a different career path than racing, who are going to be considered a bronze. So I think there's going to be opportunity for some teams to still put together some championship driver lineups that still has a bronze driver that's underrated. But I think it's going to cripple some other people that are just not road racers yet.
The thing that bothers me more than anything is that there's all of this gray area, like someone mentioned here, this, I think you mentioned it, Jim, a Camping World guy. They're saying that that's an internationally recognized series. That might be a tilt of the hat to NASCAR, but guys, that's an entry level for NASCAR. Those guys don't always get into the Nationwide or certainly into Sprint Cup. They're young, they're inexperienced, and some of them don't even know how to turn right. They've never turned right in their entire career. So there's a lot of thinking that has to go into this, and how it shapes out is going to be what's going to determine United Sports Car Racing going forward. I think there's a lot of gray area here. It's going to require a lot of tweaking. One of the other things that came out, and again, this was rolling out the rules that we've been looking for They began rolling them out last week. What's going to happen with the pit regulations? And that was also in the announcement last week. Peter, tell us about that. You are with the team. You know exactly what's going on here.
Well, I was kind of shocked to see that there are some changes to the pit procedures. I was always told that Grand Am, we were going to keep the Wild West and, keep it the way the rules are now. But now as these new rules come out, essentially they're going to limit us to just two air guns, which currently we now use 4. So, that's going to increase some of the jobs that the guys are doing, and it's definitely going to increase the pit stop time. The other thing that they're changing is that everybody goes to 1 lug. So a lot of the GT cars were 5-lug patterns. So that means that anybody that's got a current GT car in Grand Am's now got to convert to 1 lug, I guess. So it looks like they're mandating 1 lug, and I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why they would do that, but definitely the 2 guns is going to slow our pit stops down. It's going to be, we're going to have to choreograph better. So, I mean, that is a change.
Yeah, but is that what they promised at the beginning, to warn the teams that something new was coming, or did they say there wouldn't be any changes?
Well, I don't know if it was a promise, but the person that I was talking to, that's a pretty big member, was like, "We'll do it our way. We're not going to do it the MLS way." Well, obviously they have a little bit of a compromise there.
It's taken them a long time to come out with these things, so there must have been a lot of heated discussions about how this was going to go forward. We've got a lot more that we'll be learning about as the rules roll out, and we're going to be here. That's what you tune into the Racing Insiders for, is to get the inside information on sports car racing. It's the only place in the country where you could find it.
This segment of the Racing Insiders was brought to you by GoRacingTV.com. For racers, by racers.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Peter Keane is in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and Jim Daniels is in Memphis, Tennessee. Let's look at the Global Rallycross round, Loudon, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, in front of a empty grandstand. But what would you expect on a Thursday afternoon? But curiously, it was one of the great races of the weekend, probably. Tanner Faust, 2-time defending champion, going into the last turn of the race, made a mistake. Very rare for him. Crashed the car, ended up 4th. The winner goes through. Tomas Heikkinen got his 2nd win in a row. Patrick Sandell, both Heikkinen and Sandell are teammates to Tanner Faust. So it was a spectacular race, but Jim, there wasn't a lot of people there to watch it.
Yeah, look, it's a Thursday afternoon. I was surprised there wasn't a lot of people there to watch it. Like Peter, I watched it at my favorite watering hole. People just glued to the TV set. I was having explained to people at the bar of, what this was all about. They said, like, these are the names. Did this guy do a Menon commercial for deodorant? And this guy said, yeah, these are stars, absolute standouts. And the cars are rocket ships. I'm very impressed with these cars, flame-shooting monsters. What really got me, and I had to explain, was the last turn is a hairpin, totally made out of plywood, and totally was the oddball. Caught Tanner Faust out, caught lots of people during the qualifiers out. It was very interesting. Peter?
Well, I agree. It's great cars, great racing, and nobody's there to see it. I guess, it's kind of the tree falls in the woods kind of scenario. I wish it'd be a lot more traction about, having people see it on TV.
Yeah, it was great racing. Let's get to Billy Johnson, Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, but he's driving about anything with wheels nowadays, isn't he, Jim?
He sure is. Great friend of mine. Glad to have him on the show. The guy's in the World Endurance Championship, Aston Martin's, running for Turner Motorsports in the BMW GT Rolex. Got the Roush Fenway ride in the NASCAR Nationwide. Of course, got the Roush ride with Roush Jr.'s driving mate over in the Continental Tire. Neat kid. Here's my interview. Very excited about who I have on the line this morning. Got Billy Johnson, one of my friends in road racing extraordinaire. Billy, you're getting all kind of rides. Aston Martin, BMW GT, Nationwide Road Race, and Nationwide Oval. Let's talk about this Nationwide future. You come out of here, let's say you get a top 10 at Loudon, or you run really well. We're going to see you in these oval races more? Is that your aspiration, to try to make this jump, the biggest leap in motorsports from road racing to circle track NASCAR?
Yeah, if we're hoping for a finish, a good result, and just trying to keep clean. This is my first oval race, and it's like a lot of road course racers kind of put their nose up towards oval racing, but these guys are ridiculous that can do these ovals day in and day out. Just the margins of error is so small. And for another example, like road course drivers, they can do 150, 180, 200 miles an hour, but usually they slow down a lot and then go into a corner. In oval racing, you're going 150, 60, 180, 200 miles an hour, and then you turn in. And then you start slowing down. So where you pick the points of your turn in and where you start slowing down and how your splitter is relative to the ground, the attitude, keeping it down, there's so many little nuances that most road course racers have no understanding or appreciation for. But if an opportunity presented itself to continue to do more races in NASCAR on ovals and road courses, I would love that opportunity. Right now in my career with racing for Turner Motorsports in the BMW M3 for the Grand Am Rolex Series, Roush in the Continental Tire Series, Aston Martin in the 12 Hours of Sebring, and possibly some more WEC races this weekend. Kind of in the periphery of a lot of different opportunities and programs. So basically, I'm just looking for whatever.
That was Billy Johnson, standout in road racing. A lot of people want to make that same jump. Got 15th after a few green-white checkers running in 10th in that race. Beat a lot of the top names in the series. I'd be watching for Billy Johnson in the future. Bill?
Best thing about Billy Johnson, I don't know if he wanted me to say this, but he talked about it on my radio show once. He's a young guy, didn't come from a family with a lot of money, and he's making it good. I like Billy Johnson a lot. Watch him, just like Jim said. Watch Billy Johnson. All right, coming up next, Are You Kidding Me? What's going on in our heads, and we go all over the world. Next.
This segment was brought to you by the Sports Car Club of America.
Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. Are you kidding me? What's going on in our heads? Peter, let's start with you.
Hey, Bill, I got to go with Global RallyCross. You know that nobody shows at New Hampshire. It's great racing. They're unbelievable race cars. I was at my favorite drinking establishment Saturday night watching it on TV. It's on the big screen. And the whole bar was riveted to this TV screen. And, guys I've known forever come over to me and said, what kind of racing is this? What are these cars are? And I explained to them they're all-wheel drive, turbocharged, essentially rally cars. And, people are riveted to it. It's unbelievable that this is the sport that, nobody knows about. Everybody's interested in it. It's great racing, different types of conditions. It's got all the factors, Supercross, everything. It's great racing and that nobody's watching. Global Rallycross needs to do a better job.
I couldn't agree more, Peter. Jim, how about you?
Are you kidding me? I have a new Twitter hashtag. It's hashtag snafu, and then you insert IndyCar. We had this big hype, lots of media. We're going to have a standing start, first time in decades. All of this commotion. I actually got a living room full of people to watch. We had the weenies. We had the barbecue chicken rings. We had the popcorn. We're all ready to go. Newgardner stalls the car, but way late in the lap. Plenty enough time to get the cars off on a standing start, let them run through 3 or 4 turns and throw a double yellow, announce that before the cars take off. We've seen this happen before in other series when a car is disabled late. He was out of the way. They may even could have had him cleared, but they could have at least got the standing start that this race was billed as in the books, got him through 3 turns, did through the double yellow like they said, and the fans would have got what they showed up for. I just feel unsatisfied. Hashtag snafu. Bill?
Hashtag snafu. The Racing Insiders. Got to believe in Jim. And guys, my Are You Kidding Me comes from the DTM Championship, the 5th round, Nürburgring, Germany. Matthias Ekstrom, 2-time champion, goes to the victory at Nürburgring, celebration, victory circle, had it taken away in the post-race because someone poured some water in his pockets. Officials said that was illegal. Racers know that that's a way of adding weight. If that's a problem they think it's a problem going into the post-race inspection, you can add some weight to the driver, maybe throw a water bottle in the car. But that's what happened. Audi says they're going to appeal. A board will hear the appeal. It's upcoming. Two-time champion in DTM, three-time Racing Champions winner, and now he's left his win at Norris Ring up to the attorneys. Wow. We'll be right back. Still have more to come on the Racing Insiders right after this. Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. Before we get out of here, I want to remind you to go to the Racing Insiders website or the GoRacingTV website. We've got an app. You can keep track of the show, past shows, interviews, really good application. All right, here we go, Jim. Take it away.
Hey, this weekend, a lot of racing going on, but I think I feel compelled to get my kids out to the track and do some big brother, big sister. I urge everybody out there that has children, get them off the street, get them involved in road racing at scca.com, get a flag in their hands, and be positive. Peter?
Well, I'm off to Kansas City for the SCCA CRB Club Racing Board meeting. It's our annual face-to-face where we all get together, have a couple of drinks, and make people's lives miserable, especially if they're sports car racing.
And before we get out of here, here's the calendar for this weekend. We've got the ALMS round is in Mossport. We've got the ELMS round. The European Le Mans Series is at the Red Bull Ring. Formula D is at Evergreen Speedway in Washington. A lot of racing going on this weekend. Want to invite you to stick around and be a part of it. We'll talk about it next week, the Racing Insiders. Look forward to seeing you for Jim Daniels and Peter Keane. Want you to take care of each other, respect each other this week. Look forward to seeing you next week. Peace.